Happy Planner meets Mixed Media with Creative Katie. That's me, Karen Burchell. When life gets busy and doing your planner spreads starts to cause you some stress, here's what I did. Stop and kiss. Make it super simple. Do a power planner session. So I've been thinking about not doing planner videos every week, and enough people have indicated that they would be disappointed in that. So I decided that I'm going to try to do multiple weeks in one sitting and see how much time that saves. So what you see here on the screen, I am simply putting in my diet plan section. I'm doing all the measuring, all the drawing of the lines. Now, in the end, this saves time because it will all be done. I know I'm going to be doing this for at least another 3 weeks. And I'm quite happy with how it's been working. So there's no reason not to do it. So I'm just getting it out. I have to measure once. I don't have to remember it. It just overall saves time and seems to take no longer to do the 3 weeks as it does to do one when you start from scratch. So then I grabbed my jelly prints and I picked out 3 that are in that yellow-green zone that I have the color. Got out my paper cutter and I am cutting these strips to cover that coral color. So I'm just cutting, and I know I need 4 strips and then 2 for the bottom for each one. So once I figure out exactly how thick it is, again, I'm measuring once. I'm not having to rediscover it. I don't have to go 3 different times to my cabinet, find my paper cutter, bring it out, and the like. It just makes it that much easier. It's kind of like cramming for a test. Now this entire 3 spreads with the ATCs and pretty much anything I would have normally been doing, I didn't cut out anything, took about an hour and a half. Most of my planner spreads take between 45 minutes to an hour when I'm starting from scratch. So there is a time saving element here. So then I have my 3 weeks and I grab out my glue stick and I'm just adhering the color swatches, getting rid of that coral color. If you want, you can use gel medium, you can use Mod Podge. I'm trying to avoid using too many wet products. What I also found is when you do it all together in doing like 3 weeks at one time or 4 weeks at a time, you also save on cleanup because you have one brush, one ink pad, one thing at a time. You don't have it each and every separate time that you've created. And for me, I'm also able to compress 3 weeks into one video. So it's one editing session, not 3 separate ones. And having that stash of jelly paper, you could also use scrapbook paper that you might have. You could use colored papers that you have, things you could put leftover paint on. You don't have to go and use washi tape. You can buy washi tape, and when life gets busy, use it instead of designing something on your own. Some weeks I don't cover this up because I'm quite happy with the color that it is, and I'm gonna use that color within my planner spread. It's also nice and easy. You have all your supplies right there. I have my ruler, my X-Acto knife, my jelly prints. So now the pieces that I've cut out, I am just going to put them to divide up my to-do lists. And I'm going back to my to-do list, household on the top, and creative to-do lists down below. And I'll probably just write to do on there or create on there. I didn't bother digging out those stamps and doing anything. And I didn't put any bullets on it. I figured that really wasn't completely necessary, so that's something that I am time saving on. So the basis of my spread, and my goal really here for the shortened spread was to get some color down there. But I really wanted to try not omitting anything. I might keep it simple, but I really didn't want to drop the ATCs. I'm really liking the little book that they're going in, and you'll see pictures of that at the end. So I decided I'm going to cut an ATC size out of each of the jelly prints that I used for the dividers. And if you're not sure, the ATCs are 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So instead of overthinking it and trying to find and create a background from scratch, I'm going to start with my jelly prints. And there's going to be that certain amount of cohesiveness because you're using the same jelly print. So if I was starting, say for July, and the color is blue, if I didn't have enough jelly prints that were blue, what I would do is create some jelly prints and make sure that I had, make about 6 or 8 of them, and that way I would be guaranteed to have enough to do one for each week. Now I use the reinforcements that I have in the middle of my meal planner thing, and this is part of my tracking for exercise and water consumption. And it just it adds a nice design element, and it's really super easy to do. Some of these were colored. I stenciled over some others just with some distress ink. So now I'm just pulling out some of my ATCs that have those colors, and I'm just finding the opposite side because my little cards are always double-sided so they can go into the book. Getting out my Mod Podge, and I'm just adhering the jelly print onto an ATC. And some of these ATCs, like that one, is pretty much done. That one doesn't have any kind of caption. This one is completely done, the one that's on here. So that's going to save time. So I'm kind of doing this assembly line, and I'm really quite amazed at how quickly this goes by. Getting out my arc punch and just punching all of these. Then the arc punch goes back and I don't have to deal with it for. Then I decided that I'm going to do some stenciling with distress inks for all 3 of these pages, and I pull out different stencils for each one, but basically I'm going to be using the same paints and the same applicators. So again, you're saving time because you're not grabbing and looking for things over and over again, or 3 separate occasions. Now I did this all in one sitting because I had the time to do this. I wanted to get these 3 weeks done so that I could dedicate myself over the next 3 weeks to the index card a day challenge that I'm doing, and which has me making art every day and a video every day. So the distress inks work extremely well, and I've just put the blue and the green, which ties into the colors of the jelly print that I've used. It's just a quick, easy way to make your planner spread interesting and unique and yet not be over time consuming. So I had this dragonfly stencil, which was, I believe it was a cut file that I had purchased on Silhouette, and I had cut it out of just some harder card or thicker cardstock, and I'm just using the same colors. I like how this kind of makes this spread somewhat whimsical. I also decided when I was doing it, keeping it super simple, using the KISS principle here, was I used whatever I had right within my arm's reach. So I didn't go into my file folders, I didn't go into anything. It needed to be all there. And that just kind of limits me to the possibilities, which then really speeds up the creative process because I'm not wasting time debating, do I want this or do I want that? So I have these stencils, and I'll put a link to any of the products that you can get on Amazon down below. And I've stenciled, you know, some fun words. This is the last week of June. Once upon a time when I was a teacher, like last June, you know, it was looking forward to the holidays. July 1st is Canada Day, and it's a holiday here in Canada, so I just thought, oh, we'll kind of put party kind of themes. Again, these are stencils that I have that I rarely use, so it was nice to put ink on them and get them there. I was going to put butterflies, and I said, you know what, no, I'm done. Keeping it super simple. Then I have these stickers that I got at the dollar store, and I'm sorry that's kind of off screen. I found I don't really use them. I don't really like the color of them. I thought I would, you know, I've seen so many people creating with it, but really didn't like it. So I figured, you know what, I have them, I'm going to use them. It's going to cover up that area and give me a sentiment at the same time, because it's all about using my stash. So now I'm just quickly going through. What you can't see is I have a container full of embellishments right there and little bits, words, phrases, different things that, you know, have been left over from other projects. And I'm just going through that. There's that container, and then there's another one I think you'll see later. And I just decided that if it's not in here, it's not going on the card. So I had to make it work. So there are some of my just sayings that I created. So it's so handy having them there. The ATC on the left, that was used, you know, with leftover paint. It was created, and then I just put a stencil on it, and then had done some doodling on it. And it's been like that probably for a year and a half, 2 years almost, just waiting, you know, to get done. So now on the side I have some black acrylic paint, and I'm just edging the ATCs, both sides, as well as the sentiment. So instead of taking out the black acrylic paint how many separate times, I did it once. I have one felt pad to clean. You know, I'm not fussing too much. I'm really not overthinking this process. And while this is sped up 4 times, I really did go at a good pace to get these done. I actually love, for the lack of planning and thinking about what's going on these ATCs, I love how the 3 of them look together, and I am excited to see them in my little ATC book that you'll see at the end. These little hearts I had in my stash. I cut out from some brayered papers that I created for one of my technique tag videos, and it just perfectly fit. So don't throw out those little bits. Just you need one little container for that. That snowflake sun is I cut it out of the yellow paper before Christmas with my silhouette, when I was practicing with my silhouette, and thought, okay, now I'm going to use it. This mermaid, I don't even know where it came from, but it just seemed to fit. I had grabbed this little cut flower that I had shown you how to make several weeks ago. I had this blue one cut out of brayered paper, colored paper, and it just seemed to go all together. I was amazed at how well the things worked together, considering that I really didn't plan it. Wanted this to pop a little more, so I got out my Posca pens and just outlined it. And that ties the black with the sentiment. And I'm just doing some edging. And then I just go to town with my dash dot dot. And again, the black of the Posca pen goes well with the black in the sentiment. You want things to work together. Now, if you were doing this, you don't have to do this in one sitting. You could just do the ATCs in one sitting if that's something you're doing. You could have done gluing the jelly prints in one sitting. You could do it, so if you only got 15 minutes, break it into 4 different 15 minutes. Could have left it enough, but I got out my jelly roll pens and I'm just doing some doodling. Just adding a little bit of gold because, of course, you won't know it's me if there's not gold there. And there's gold on the Little Mermaid, so I wanted a little gold somewhere else on the ATC. And once you have it in my hand, I'm going to, do something on each and every card. Oh, I love those so much. So then I have the jelly roll pens, and I decide I'm going to add a little color to these. I can't think what the word is to describe the color of these, but I'm just adding a little bit more color to match the page. And I'm using my jelly roll pens, and then I get into and use my Posca paint pens as well. And actually they worked quite well. They were quite opaque. So I said to myself, even here, I have lots of these to go. I could sit in while I'm watching TV some night and color them. And then I would be able to, they would be pre-colored and be one step closer to being able to just use them on my planner spreads. Just adding a little more detail everywhere, like I really didn't shortchange any of these planner spreads. They are on the simpler side, using the KISS principle, keep it super simple, but they're colorful, bright, and I'm really quite happy that they are done and that I was able to make a video. Okay, so just to wrap up, I have everything back into the planner, the ATC, so I have 3 weeks. I gotta say, I rather enjoyed putting this together and working on multiple weeks at the same time. Now, I did it in one sitting, and that doesn't necessarily have to be. You could just do all the gluing of the jelly prints in one part, all the ATCs in one part, all the stenciling. But it really saved a lot of time and cleanup, because now there's one cleanup, not multiple cleanups. I have opportunity on each page to take, you know, gel pens or Posca pens or just even black pens and do some doodling on there. Love how this turned out. And these things that I put onto my cards are things that I have in my stash. This is the bin where things go when, you know, they're little bits that I've printed off or I've colored that I haven't ended up using on other things. And, you know, it's amazing. I don't even know where that mermaid came from. So we have this, we have some more opportunity for doodling and outlining that I can do during the week as I'm planning and organizing. You know, no bullets, no any of that. We'll see if I miss it. If I miss it, I can always come back and I can, you know, get out my stamps and stamp those in. Really like how this one turned out using the dragonfly. And again, that dragonfly is something that I made a whole bunch of embellishments one day. This one, I just like this happy little page. Love how this turned out. Again, those little hearts were things that were already even cut out. So challenge yourself to use what you have in your stash, what's already there. And that just also helps to limit your mind to all the possibilities. And I don't know about you, but for me, I always get really bogged down with too many ideas, too many things. So we will see you next for setting up July for Final Friday on June 30th. And we will set up, do something with this page, and I love this, it's gratitude, set up the monthly spread and the first week in July. And we'll get going. Thanks for joining me. Please check out my Index Card a Day Challenge videos, as well as my Mixed Media Technique Tag videos. Lots of good information there. Bye for now.